Are you feeling overwhelmed and stressed out with daily life? Maybe the solution is not doing more, it's doing less. In this video, I'm sharing the 4 things I proudly stopped doing that made my life easier and much happier. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Luca and I'm studying to qualify as a professional life coach. On this channel, I talk about self-development and how we can create a life that is more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much. Now let's get started. The first and perhaps most transformative decision I made several years ago was to stop watching the news every day. Let me tell you how that decision changed my life and why it might be worth considering for yourself. When I was about 11 years old, my literature teacher told me and my classmates that in order to be good and smart citizens, we had to stay aware of what was going on in our country, in Europe, and around the world. And that advice stuck with me, leading to a long-standing obsession with consuming the news. I'd watch it during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It became such a routine also because the house I grew up in had a TV in every room. And before smartphones became a thing, TV was my daily companion, especially when I was home alone. As a teenager, I didn't realize how harmful this constant exposure to negative news was. In fact, I felt proud and mature because I was aware of national and international events. But let's be honest, what we see on TV or consume on social media today is overwhelmingly grim. Wars, financial crisis, horrific crimes. Finding one piece of good news feels like a rare accident which requires intentional searching. When I left my parents' house to go study in France, I no longer had a TV constantly on in the background. And that was a turning point, because for the first time I could detox from the daily news cycle and my mind began to breathe. The constant narrative about a slowing economy, rising inflation, and falling salaries was no longer dominating my thoughts. This break from the news gave me mental peace, because I finally stopped worrying about global problems far beyond my control. Instead, I could focus on what truly mattered: my internal struggles, my goals, and my relationships. It was like taking a breath of fresh air after being stuck in a noisy room. Our attention and energy are limited resources, and we only have 2 choices. We can channel them towards distant problems we have no control over, or we can direct them towards the aspect of our lives where we can actually make a difference. This idea isn't new. Stoic philosophers has emphasized it for centuries. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. So I warmly encourage you to reflect on your relationship with the news. I'm not saying to be ignorant of the world, because awareness is fundamental. But consider whether constant exposure to negativity is serving you or is simply draining your mental and emotional resources. Perhaps it's time to reclaim your peace, focus on what you can control, and embrace an easier life. The second thing I stopped doing is overthinking my wardrobe and outfits. Living in Australia, where people can walk barefoot into supermarkets, might have sped up the process, but that's just the cherry on top of a journey I started years ago. For instance, when I make videos for YouTube, you will always see me in simple plain t-shirts. Because this helps me avoid wasting my time on relatively meaningless decisions and focus my energy on delivering valuable content, hopefully. But let me clarify something here. I love fashion, and I grew up watching fashion shows on YouTube, and I still enjoy following fashion designers, journalists, and icons on social media. But there's a huge difference between enjoying fashion as a form of art and expression and placing an order online every week because you feel pressured to impress your colleagues or friends. When we place too much attention on our external appearance, we are often trying to compensate for some internal insecurity. Maybe you don't feel as confident as that friend you often compare yourself to, and so you obsess over putting together fancy outfits to appear confident. Or maybe you're afraid of not being taken seriously at work, and so you carefully curate your wardrobe with popular brands, never wearing the same thing twice. There's nothing wrong with wanting to shine in clothes that fit well and make you feel powerful and beautiful. The problem begins when this becomes a struggle. When instead of directing your energy towards becoming the best version of yourself, you waste your mental and financial resources on details no one will remember for more than 30 seconds. And here's something really interesting I want to share from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, which I highly recommend if you haven't read it. He says, people tend to want wealth to signal to others that they should be liked and admired. But in reality, those other people often bypass admiring you, not because they don't think wealth is admirable, but because they use your wealth as a benchmark for their own desire to be liked and admired. So when you see your colleague or friend in a nice expensive outfit, you rarely think, wow, they are so cool. Instead you think, wow, if I had that outfit, people would think I'm cool. And this was eye-opening for me. So the next time you catch yourself stressing over what to wear or feeling envious for someone else's wardrobe, remember this. True confidence doesn't come from what you wear. It comes from who you are, and that's what people will remember. The third thing I stopped doing is giving too much importance to other people's expectations about how I should live my life. I firmly believe that we as humans are porous creatures, so we are inherently shaped and influenced by the environment around us and the people within it. But here's the thing, more often than not, that influence comes at the expense of what we truly want. It might look like choosing a particular university or career path just to make your parents happy because you don't want to disappoint them. Or it could be staying in a relationship that deep down you know isn't right, but you think it's never the right moment to end things. In the first part of my life, I've been diligently compliant with other people's expectations, whether it was about my future or my relationships. But then I reached a turning point, and I realized that I'm the one living in my shoes. Not my family, not my friends, not my colleagues. And that realization was like taking a deep breath of fresh air. This doesn't necessarily mean disregarding or ignoring others' expectations, advice, or suggestions. It means putting them in their proper place, which is a space where you can acknowledge them, consider them, but not let them compromise your authentic desires. At the end of the day, you are the one bearing the consequences of your decisions. So it makes sense to make choices that align with your heart and gut. For instance, if deep down you feel that your current career is miles away from what you've always dreamt of, stop worrying about what your family or LinkedIn network will think. Come up with a realistic plan to transition towards something more fulfilling. Or if you know you are no longer in love with your partner, stop listening to those voices telling you that a good enough relationship is better than no relationship at all. Do what you know is right for you. There's no such thing as a perfect decision. No matter what you choose, someone will be unhappy. Just make sure that person isn't you. The fourth thing I stopped doing is expecting reciprocity in social relationships. This might sound like some elevated philosophical concept, but it's way more relatable than you think. By reciprocity in social relationships, I mean those situations when you do something kind or thoughtful for someone and naturally hope for a nice gesture in return. Not because you need it or were trying to get something from the other person, but simply because it feels nice when kindness is acknowledged. And this could be anything, from the simple to the meaningful. Maybe you smile at a stranger on the sidewalk, hoping they will smile back. Or you compliment a friend or colleague, thinking they will return the favor when it's your turn to be celebrated. Maybe you ask someone out, hoping they will take the initiative for the second date. Or it might be something more serious, like apologizing to a friend or family member to settle an old fight, hoping they will do the same. But here's the thing, you can't control other people's reactions, you can't control their feelings or behavior, and if you try to, you're setting yourself for disappointment. That stranger who didn't return your smile, maybe they were in a rush, stressed about their day. And what about that friend who didn't message you to celebrate your milestone? Maybe they didn't see it as a significant achievement. And what about that family member you apologized to? Maybe they're still processing the conflict and they're not ready to move on. The golden rule here is this: do things for others just because you want to, just because it feels good and aligns with your values, without expecting anything in return. Be nice just because it's nice to be nice. The right people will appreciate your gesture and understand your authentic intentions, but not everyone will, and that's okay. Life gets a lot lighter when you stop holding on to other people's expectations and you simply enjoy the moments where kindness flows naturally. Hi guys, if you enjoyed this video, you're going to love this two-part series over here where I break down the 7-step process to manifest your dream life. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.